Hopefully you can hear me. Lately people have been telling me that you can't hear when I do this, so I'm going to try it and hopefully it'll work. Otherwise you can just follow along. I'd recommend maybe plugging in speakers or putting headphones in so you can hear. Right, I recorded the problems that most of you missed when we did the group SAT section together. So I just picked a couple of them to do. I can do them a little bit faster than Con can because I have them all written out, and I'm going to just explain them quickly. So number 10, the problem said, Philip used 4 pieces of masking tape, each 6 inches long, to put up each of the posters. Philip had 300 foot roll of masking tape when he started. If no tape was wasted, which of the following represents the number of masking tape that was left on the roll after he put up n posters? Okay, so I always draw a picture. Almost every SAT problem I do, if I can, I'll draw a picture. So this one had he had four pieces of masking tape, 6 inches long. That's how much you need to do one poster. So I just took 4 times 6 inches, and so each poster requires 24 inches of masking tape. Now you're starting with 300 feet on the rule, so you need to make these two things compatible. And it doesn't say what the answer's in, but it does have 300, so that's telling me we want to keep them in feet. So from the 300 feet, for every poster, for every n poster, you're going to need 2 feet. So 24 inches is 2 feet. So I'm going to start with 300 feet. I'm going to subtract off 2 feet for every poster. And that simply is the answer. Seems almost too easy, doesn't it? Okay, 11. This one said, if in the xy coordinate plane, there line M is a reflection of line L about the x-axis. If the slope of M is negative 5/4, what is the slope of line L? Well, they're telling us M is a reflection of line L. The slope of M is negative 4/5. So I guess what I created here was a line M. And I wanted to make sure the slope was negative 4/5, so I put a point on 4, a point on 5, and the slope it's a downward slope, so it's going to be negative. So you would go down 4 and over 5, which makes it have a slope, if we're going from point to point, our slope of the blue line, line M, is negative 5/4. So they want to know what the slope of, if it was reflected across the x-axis. Remember our reflection that we did? Each point matches a point below. Let me pick a different color here. So instead of being 4 up here, if we're going to reflect it across the x-axis, it's going to be a 4 down here. The color didn't change. So it's going to be down here. It's going to be equal distance from the x-axis if it's going to reflect. And this one will just reflect on itself since it's already there. So if I draw a line to connect it, that kind of connects it. We can find the slope of that line, which would just be the rise. So it would go down 4 from this point to this point. So actually, if we're going from this point to this point, we would go up 4 and to the right 5. So it's going to be exactly the same slope, but it's going to be a positive slope instead of a negative slope. So it's just going to be 4 over 5. Rising 4, running 5. Just like, just remember to reflect, it's going to be the same distance on both sides of the x-axis. So again, it looks really easy when someone else does it for you. Alright, let's hit the next one. If n equals 3p, for what value does n equal p? Well, first thing I thought was just there's 4 values, let's just put them in and see when they're equal to each other. So the first one I put in was I put 0 in for n, and got 0, and 0 in for p, and I got 0. So that's when n equals p, so both 0. I didn't need to go any further, but you could put points in. If you put 1 equals 3 times 1, that's not going to work. You would get 1 equals 3. I put 3 in, 3 equals 9, that doesn't work. So this one was just a simple look at your answers, put your points in, see which ones work. Another really easy one. Okay, they're getting a little bit harder here. This one says, in the figure, v equals 30, which I already filled in. That's right down here. V equals 30. I know two different ways to do this one. There's probably more. What is the value of x plus y? Well, one way to do it is, this one right in here, this angle right here equals 180 minus y, because we know that y plus this angle have to equal 180. This is 180 equals y. And we know that this angle right in here, here's x out here, we know these two together have to add up to 180, so this would be 180 minus x. Then we know that these three angles, this one in here, and this one here, equals 180. So I'm going to add them all up. 180 minus y plus 180 minus x plus 30, that's all the three angles, equals 180. And then if I simplify it, I get 360 minus, well, let's just add that 30 on there too. So that would be 360 plus 30 would be 390 minus y minus x equals 180. I'm going to subtract 390 from both sides, so I get minus y minus x equals 210. And all I have to do, they want us to find out what x plus y is. If I just multiply everything by -1, look what I get. Oops, I should have done minus anyway. I'm going to make that positive, and I would get x plus y equals 210, and that's one of our answers. The other way, the first way I did it was, I knew this was an exterior angle out here. I knew that this angle equaled this angle plus this angle, and I worked it, I said, well, it's more complicated. I'm not going to go into that. It'll take too long. So I used this as an exterior angle. I said the exterior angle equals the sum of the interior angles, and I worked in a different direction. If anyone wants to see that, let me know. Probably not. Okay, I'm going to do two more real quick. I'm not going to do that one complicated is it a cube problem? I'm going to skip that one for now, because I don't have any room on my page, mostly why I'm not going to do it. Okay, here's our parabola function problem. It says if the function f is defined by f of x equals x squared plus bx plus c, where b and x are positive constants, which of the following could be the graph of f? Well, let's just look. Remember how I said if the value in front of the x squared term, if it's positive, if this is positive, then it's going to open upward. And it is positive. There's no negative sign there. So right away we start crossing off the ones that are not facing upward. Next thing, look at your C term. This is your y-intercept. That's where it's going to cross your y-axis. If x was equal to 0, C would be where it would cross the y-axis. So C is positive. So we need to find the graph where C is positive. Here it's 0. It wouldn't be there if it was 0. Here it crosses the y-axis down here, and that's not positive. So your y-intercept has to be positive. That's not positive. And finally, this one goes the right direction, and it crosses the y-intercept in a positive place. So E is your answer. Okay, finally I'm going to do 16. These can be very tricky, these symbol problems. I gave you some symbol problems on that worksheet that you brought home. Okay, it's saying anytime you see a circle around a variable, you take what's inside, you square it, and you minus what's inside. So we just have two of these that equal each other. So I'm going to take the A, and if it's in a circle, it says square it. So I'm going to do A squared, and then it says subtract it. Then you do the same thing. Whatever's in the circle, you need to square it. So it's A minus 2, square it, minus what's in the circle. X is in the circle, A minus 2 is in the circle. Here, make sure you put your parentheses or you're only going to subtract your A and not your 2. And then you just do some simple algebra. So A squared minus A. This is a foiling problem, so the A squared, we did FOIL. Outer and inner would add up to minus 4A plus 4 minus A plus 2. And then we need to let's see, what do we have here? A squared on both sides, so they cross out. We just subtract them from both sides. And I'm going to get all the a's on one side. So if over here we have minus 5a, and if I add it to both sides, over here we're going to get 4a. And we're left on this side with a 6. 4 and 2 is 6. And we get a equals 6/4 or 3/2. So that was pretty quick. I did 6 problems, and hopefully that helped you to understand a few of them. If I have time, I might do some of the easier problems and that cube problem. So that's it for SAT. This is Test 7, Section 9.